Just after your talk is a very important person, Dr. Mukesh Kumar. Now I'm sure he has listened very carefully. The two things which was mentioned by Mr. Prasad was that all new technologies should be given support and encouragement. And very few people know the role of Dr. Mukesh Kumar. He is the director of Steel Research Technology Mission of India, SRTMI, which has been set up under the Ministry of Steel exactly to do this role what Mr. Prasad Sen mentioned in the last slide. And on slurry transportation also, you mentioned about the right of way. We will have to work on this thing, and now we are coming to the end of this session of this webinar. I want to request Mr. Mukesh Kumar. He is one of the best friends of pellet industry, I can tell you. In every webinar, I hear Dr. Mukesh Kumar speak few kind words that what is the need for pelletization. And being a man from ministry, these words carry a lot of value, lot of weight. Dr. Mukesh Kumar is an outstanding engineer. He is actually worked in wide fields like metallurgy, oil and gas, petroleum, project management. And he has worked in a company called, Vedanta Group, aluminium. So I keep on joking with him that from aluminium to steel, as a steel man, I always compare that aluminium is inferior to steel. But Dr. Mukesh Kumar has worked in aluminium. And the best part, very few people know in this audience that Dr. Mukesh Kumar is the chairman of Indian Institute of Metals Delhi chapter, and he is cheering IIM to new heights. With these words, Dr. Mukesh Kumar sir, if you can sum up, we will be very grateful. आपका अनम्यूट कर लीजिए, अनम्यूट.
Thank you, Bhatnagar Saab, and thank you all the panelists and participants in this events webinar. Because this pellet industry, as everybody has told, is very, very important for the sustainability of the iron and steel industry. Because we know that steel industry is facing the biggest challenge of time because of this greenhouse gas emissions. Today we are using blast furnaces, we are using DRI, but our CO2 emission is very, very high. And if we have to move away from this CO2 emissions, people are talking technologies like hydrogen, like molten oxide electrolysis, so many technologies we are talking. But the fact is, India is in a very, very different type of position. On one hand, we don't have natural gas available with us. On the other hand, scrap availability also is very, very poor. So we have to manage our operations in such a manner that without depending on external resources, we are in a position to reach our capacity. Government of India, you know that everybody is giving a lot of importance to the infrastructure development. You know about the Prime Minister, Honorable Prime Minister announcement about Gati Shakti project, which is aimed in creating an integrated infrastructure hub to improve our competitiveness through development of rail, road, and port facilities. Although today, good presentation has been given by Stephen Young and Julian Rasconi, as well as by Julie Harris and Raj Talmundupola regarding slurry pipeline. But as AMNS also has told, in slurry pipeline, a lot of issues are there. When few years back, this issue was raised, first of all, Ministry of Environment Forest came out with a notification that all projects like slurry pipeline, transmission lines, all those things will be covered under a new scheme called linear project scheme. And in linear project scheme, expeditious approval will be granted to these projects. But of late, even in the forest, because most of the projects require forest clearance and other clearance, they told because these are linear in nature. So even if some forest land is involved, and because only right of way is required, so no forest clearance and other things are required. And some of the projects have been executed based on those concepts also. But of late, what we are finding is whenever any private players is going to MOA and asking for these rights of way, that creates another problem. Second problems, what has been mentioned about right of way along the side of the railway line. Initially, railway, you know that railway was allowing laying of the pipeline along the railway line also, but some accident has happened. And because when we are running a railway line, it is concerned with the safety of human lives. And of late, they have decided not to give that permission. But I understand recently also, again, this matter was taken up by Ministry of Mines, Ministry of Steel and others with the Railway Authority. And somehow with some conditions, they have agreed to grant right of way with these conditions. But what Mr. Stephen Young has told that when we are laying a long distance pipeline, and if some leakage happen, then leakage impact may be disastrous. And right now, only few pipelines we are running. And because of that, that type of infrastructure has not been developed. So slowly and slowly, when we are moving in this direction, we have to see that we should go in this direction also. And once this pipeline and other things is developed, I think this will help a lot in creating a downstream industry also. But before coming to this logistic and other things, today, Mr. Manish Agarwal, Sri D.L. Savalia ji, Mr. Ashok Sahu, and Mr. Abrar Hussain, Indrajit Paul, and Uday Bhaskar ji, everybody has talked about need of validation and need of verification. And it is mentioned very clearly by Mr. Abrar Hussain that our grade is decreasing continuously. And when our grade is decreasing continuously, alumina and silica content is increasing. And when alumina and silica content is increasing, the fact can be seen from the presentation made by JSW, where they are saying they are operating blast furnace only with around 59-60% iron grade. And they are operating blast furnaces with acidic, I can say, acidic pellets, because they are maintaining basicity of around less than 0.5, means around 0.2, 0.3, because high silica is content so high, and they are forced to do this thing. So how to manage these things, whether high silica is there or high alumina is there? I mean, there is a need that we should focus, we should bring some focus on improving the quality of them. Recently, SRTMI, along with some other organization also, has organized some conferences. And last week only, we were having one conference in the Ministry of Coal also, where we discussed what new technology can be brought in to handle this situation and improve the grade. So that blast furnace feed grade, we can ensure we should go to around 64% and 65%. Because we know better we will increase the feed grade, lower will be the emission. Lower will be the emission, as Madam Rasika Chaubey has told, slag generation also will be low. Our productivity of the furnaces will also be high. We were under the impression that some people like Tata and JSW, they have operated this thing blast furnaces with up to 20%, 30%, even 40% also, but of late they have reduced it to around 30%. And that is the impression given. But whereas world across, you have seen from various presentations that people are using even 80 or 90% also. And I was surprised to see today's SR presentation that in SR also, I'm sorry, ArcelorMittal and Nippon Steel. In ArcelorMittal Nippon Steel also, they have gone up to 60 to 70% of the price. And how they have increased the productivity, they have crossed almost 3 tons productivity, whereas other plants like SAIL and RINL, they are operating at 1.8, 1.7 with increased feed, because you know when we are having iron ore, it is not that porous. Reducibility is also poor. Even if we are using lumpy ore also, these pellets have great advantages over these things. And I feel in time to come, because the way we are increasing our industry, we have to bring focus on pelletization. Without pelletization, I think we will not be in a position to meet our requirement of 300 million. That's why I'm on every forum are saying, okay, let us bring out this thing. Recently, when we prepared a report on circular economy and resource efficiency for media, the Ministry of Steel was made as the nodal agency. And there we have given various important recommendations. And one of the recommendations was that Ministry of Mines should immediately form a team for utilization of the low grade. This issue was discussed even with the parliamentary committee also. And in the parliamentary committee report also, 20th report also, again it was recorded that there is a need to look into this aspect, how to improve utilization of low-grade ore. And for that, if some incentives need to be given, if some framework need to be planned, because unless we provide those type of impetus to the industry, it will be very, very difficult to bring advanced beneficiation techniques, advanced pelletization techniques in the country. And I'm very happy that this report Ministry of Mines has already prepared through IBM, and this was circulated to all the stakeholders. We have already received the comments. Niti Aayog also is looking into it, because this is also one of the agenda point of the Niti Aayog, that how to ensure this thing. And we want that our steel industry should be sustainable. And when we are saying steel industry should be sustainable, so there we are looking three concepts, that zero discharge, zero waste, and zero harm approach. And this can be possible only if we start using low-grade ore and increase pelletization industry in the country. If we do this pelletization industry in the country, I hope lot and more beneficial industry will come, more pelletization industry will come, and this will improve my productivity in the blast furnaces. As Madam Rasika Chobe has told in her speech, that if we use pellets without capital requirement, we can increase the capacity of the plants by productivity increase, by slag volume decrease, and others. I hope whatever this thing, today's presentation was made by everyone. It was very, very excellent presentation, very detailed presentation, and recommendation given by by ArcelorMittal and Nippon Steel, by JSW, by PMAI, and other people also who has given this recommendation. I think I have taken note of this thing. I will discuss internally also in the Ministry of Steel, and I will request Bhatnagar Sahab also to prepare this thing and split it to the Ministry of Mines also, so that Ministry of Steel is actively working, because we know that today we are at 100 million ton, and by 2030, unless we increase our capacity to more than around 250 million ton or 240 million ton, we will not be in a position to sustain our 300 million ton industry by 2030. Because in time to come, this has to increase. And that's why I see there are a lot of opportunities in the pelletization industry, and pelletization industry will grow drastically. And I see a big future for the beneficiation and pelletization industry. I wish you all the best. And Bhatnagar Sahab, special thanks to you for organizing this seminar and taking this much pain. And through the attendance you have seen, it has crossed more than around 220 also at one point of time. And that shows how interesting this topic was for today's webinar and how it is relevant to the industry. Thank you very much, and all the best.
Thank you, Dr. Mukesh Kumar. You have really summed up so beautifully, and I